Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is Daily Drop number 93. I hope everybody had an amazing weekend. We were treated to some great football games, if that's your thing. Lots of good, entertaining football games, and then to wash that all down, we had this CBS Dateline special about Jeffrey Epstein's jail cell. So there was some pretty informative stuff in there. The pictures were great, some pictures I hadn't seen before, autopsy photos, etc., etc. And the commentary was pretty good too. Now, of course, the prison officials and people who work in official positions were very quick to say that there's no way that Jeffrey Epstein could have killed himself. And of course, they're going to take that line. That's the official narrative. They have to do what they have to do. Okay, whatever, we get it. We know that you're not trustworthy anyway. So why would we listen to anything that these prison officials have to say? And then you go, and not only Michael Baden, but the reporter, I don't think, was buying the stories from the prison officials either. You know, if you watch the episode, you'll see that the marks from where the supposed noose were supposed to be on his neck didn't match up, and there was no blood on the noose either that they said that he used to hang himself with. So I found that very, very odd. If he was bleeding, you would think that there'd be some sort of blood on that noose, and it would be pronounced. It would be red on orange, so you'd be able to see it very clearly, and there was none of that. So we're going to read an article tonight from CBS, and it talks about, obviously, their episode tonight. It's a closer look by CBS. It's a look into the autopsy, etc., etc. And I'm also going to read an article. I don't know if you folks watched the Golden Globes tonight, but Ricky Gervais just absolutely lit the whole entire Hollywood establishment on fire, threw matches on them, poured gasoline, and then hit it with a blowtorch. Because he really let them have it, from, Leonardo DiCaprio to Apple to all of these streaming services. He just really let loose. And it's not something you really would expect on one of these shows, and you could tell the reaction in the crowd. People were absolutely positively shocked that he went there, and he even made some Epstein jokes, so that's why I found it relevant and why I thought I'd share it with you folks. Obviously, at this point, everybody listening to the show has probably heard it already, but there's no way I could leave it out. It was just too rich and too golden. I wasn't really paying attention at first. It was just on the TV. Carrie and I were getting ready to watch Power, and I had to double take when I heard him start talking about Epstein, so I rewinded all the way back to the beginning of his monologue, and I was dying from the very beginning till he ended that monologue. It was absolute gold, and just great to see that one of these comedians had the balls to step up and say, you know what, I don't really care anymore. I'm going to light you all on fire. That's what comedians are supposed to do. It was awesome to watch, and I highly suggest that if you haven't seen the clip, I'm sure it'll be everywhere. I'm sure it's everywhere already, but I highly suggest you check it out. It is well worth the, 8 minutes or 9 minutes or whatever that it took for him to go through his whole entire monologue. It was so worth it. All right, so if you would like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI at protonmail.com. All right, the first article we're going to get to is the CBS News article, the companion piece for their airing of their episode today on Dateline. So the headline is Jeffrey Epstein's Autopsy, a closer look. Authored by Britt McCandless Farmer, January 5th, 2020. 7:07 p.m. Eastern Time. This report contains graphic images that some viewers may find disturbing. So there's your PSA, folks. If you click on the link, that's going to be in the description box like usual. If you click on that link, you're going to find some graphic photos. Almost 5 months after convicted sex offender and pedophile Jeffrey Epstein was found dead in his jail cell, 60 Minutes has obtained the photographs the New York City Medical Examiner's Office took, including inside his cell and during his autopsy. Well, that's good work by CBS. Was that before or after they fired Ashley Bianco, though? The photograph shed new light on the circumstances of the disgraced financier's, just call him a pedophile, apparent suicide, which has fueled online conspiracy theories. but multiple forensic pathologists 60 Minutes spoke to came to a consensus that without one image, the position of how Epstein's body was found in his cell, it is difficult to determine the cause of death with certainty. And isn't it funny, folks, that that image does not exist? Isn't it funny that they never took any photographs of him before they moved his body? Isn't it funny that nobody had handheld cameras? Isn't it funny that the actual camera that was mounted to oversee these people in their cells, isn't it funny that that didn't work either? Boy, there sure are a lot of coincidences, huh? But stop asking questions, you conspiracy theorists. Even after reviewing all the autopsy photos, reading the autopsy, and looking at the photos from inside the cell, we still have questions, said 60 Minutes correspondent Sharon Alfonsi, who reports on a months-long investigation into the circumstances of Epstein's death on the broadcast Sunday. And like I said, it was well worth the watch. It's about a 20-minute segment or so. Definitely worth the investment. Sit down and watch it. It's nothing that we haven't talked about really here on the show, but it gives you that visual evidence, the visual confirmation of what happened in that cell, I guess I should say. So you can take a look at those pictures, and it'll obviously add a little bit more flavor for you, a little bit more. It adds to the picture, and you'll see inside of his cell, he had all sorts of things. There was all sorts of things in this cell, folks. Things that a man who is supposedly suicidal should not have in their jail cell. All right, we had a bunch of bed sheets, a ton of bed sheets. You'll see. When you go and click on the images, obviously you'll be able to see better than I can explain it. So, what is not in question is that Epstein is dead. According to forensic pathologist Dr. Michael Baden, who was hired by Jeffrey Epstein's brother to look into the death and was present during the autopsy, the fingerprints on the body found in Epstein's cell at the Metropolitan Correctional Center in the early morning of August 10, 2019, matched the fingerprints taken of Epstein when he was booked during a 2006 arrest in Florida. All right, so for the people that say that they think Jeffrey Epstein was moved to a different location, that he's still alive, there's that. He has the fingerprints, according to Dr. Baden, match up with his 2006 arrest in Florida. Now, is Dr. Michael Baden a honorable negotiator of the truth here, arbiter of the truth here? Is he a somebody that we should trust? I'll leave that up to everybody, up to you folks, because I don't have any information in one way or the other besides the same stuff you folks have, and I guess it all comes down to, personally, does the guy pass the smell test for you? And for me, I don't really know, to be honest with you, if I trust Dr. Baden, but I certainly don't trust the state. I trust Baden more than I trust the state. I guess I could tell you that much. No photo exists of Epstein's body as it was found in his cell, Dr. Baden said. Additional forensic pathologists 60 Minutes consulted say that knowing the position in which Epstein was found would clarify certain aspects of the autopsy, including the location of the ligature around his neck, injuries found on his body post-mortem, and the way lividity settled, which is the way the blood pools after death. You would think that these guards are, working in this horrible place, MCC, it would have all of these suicides. Oh, wait. That's not the case. Suicide is very rare here. But you would think that the guards would know the procedure just in case it was to occur, right? They would know that they're not to move the body. They would know that they have to bring the handhelds. They would know they would have to photograph the scene. Where was the head investigator on duty? Where's the lead officer, the officer in charge? You're telling me the two prison guards that supposedly fell asleep were the whole entire command structure that was there that night? There's no overnight boss? That's pretty crazy. At this length of time, we still don't have that information, Dr. Baden said. So if this was called a suicide without all that information, it was a premature judgment. New York City Chief Medical Examiner Dr. Barbara Sampson ruled in August that Epstein's cause of death was a suicide by hanging. And again, do we trust Barbara Sampson? Why should we trust her more than we trust Dr. Michael Baden? And again, there's some more pictures of Epstein's body in the autopsy. So make sure you click on that the link inside of the description box, and you'll be able to check them out. Among the injuries found on Epstein during the autopsy are contusions on both wrists, an abrasion on his left forearm, and deep muscle hemorrhaging in his left shoulder muscle. Photos 60 Minutes reviewed also show an injury to the back of his neck, a cut on his lip, and an injection mark in his arm, though it is unknown whether the latter injuries happened during an attempt to resuscitate Epstein at the hospital. Really? He was dead for 2 hours. Resuscitate him at the hospital? What are they, the guys from The Miracle Maker from Princess Bride? You're going to drag him down there and they're going to resuscitate him? Give me a break, okay? These marks came because whatever happened in that cell, not afterwards, folks. Dr. Baden said small burst capillaries known as pedicci found on Epstein's face, mouth, and eyes are often an indication of strangulation. But it was injuries to Epstein's neck that make Dr. Baden call into question the official ruling of suicide. Autopsy photos show fractures of the left and right thyroid cartilage, which sits at the front of the neck, and the left hyoid bone, a U-shaped bone that sits under the jaw and acts as an anchor for the tongue. I bet you there's a lot of people out there that wish that Ghislaine Maxwell's hyoid bone would break right about now, huh? I have never seen 3 fractures like this in a suicidal hanging, Dr. Baden tells Alfonsi on the broadcast. He added, going over 1,000 jail hangings, suicides in the New York City state prisons over the past 40 to 50 years, no one, I repeat, no one, folks, had 3 fractures. So, again, another coincidence or something much more sinister? The pathologist 60 Minutes spoke with agreed that the eye hemorrhaging is common in homicidal strangulation and less common, though not impossible, in suicidal hangings, but they disagreed on the significance of the 3 breaks in Epstein's neck. One concurred with Dr. Baden that the 3 neck fractures were very uncommon and raise additional questions. Another pathologist said the neck trauma has been associated with both strangulation and hanging, especially in older men. Epstein was 66. Dr. Kristen Roman, a medical examiner for New York City, okay, yeah, so we're going to believe her, right? She's honest. She's a reliable narrator. Who conducted the autopsy that Dr. Baden observed, at first did not classify the death as a suicide and listed the manner of death as pending. A few days later, Dr. Sampson said she had reviewed additional evidence and changed the ruling to suicide. She has not revealed what the additional evidence was, but sources tell 60 Minutes that one element was his alleged prior suicide attempt. And that's even challenged, folks, okay? That suicide attempt is even challenged. He said that he was attacked. Why shouldn't we believe him? According to everything that we've read here on the podcast, according to everything that we've heard from his lawyers and people around him, the man was not suicidal. 60 Minutes reached out to the office of the New York City medical examiner, but did not hear back. Of course not. Par for the course, right? We only hear from these federal officials or these offices as if they have something to leak. Besides that, mum is the word. In response to a media appearance Dr. Baden made on Fox News in October, Dr. Sampson told the New York Times she stands firmly behind her findings in the August autopsy report. In general, fractures of the hyoid bone and the cartilage can be seen in suicides and homicides, she said at the time. In an October interview with the Associated Press, Dr. Sampson added, "You can't draw a conclusion from one finding. Everything about the case has to be considered." Well, that is true, Dr. Sampson. So, with that said, and those words coming out of your mouth, how about you provide us with the evidence so that we can consider everything? Can we consider the whole case? Can we have all of the evidence? Or are we just supposed to go on what you tell us? So if we're just supposed to go by what you tell us, well, we're going to need a lot more information from you. Because what we've gotten so far, it doesn't match up. There's a lot of controversy here, folks. A lot of it. Dr. Baden himself is not without controversy. Well, there you go. The hatchet job. They have to make sure they do the hatchet job on Dr. Baden every time they talk about him. He briefly served as New York City's medical examiner, but Mayor Edward Koch dismissed him a year later. He has also taken provocative stances in high-profile cases, including in the 1995 trial for O.J. Simpson. An HBO documentary series has featured Baden, who estimates he has performed more than 20,000 autopsies in his 45-year career. In addition to the photos 60 Minutes obtained of Epstein's autopsy, photos from his jail cell also appear to show inconsistencies, including questions about whether investigators examined the correct ligature used in Epstein's death. At least 2 nooses were photographed lying on the floor of the cell, both appearing to be made from strips of orange bedsheets. And again, no blood on either of them. But photos of the noose taken in as evidence and presumably thought to be responsible for killing Epstein show both ends of the noose folded and hemmed, not cut. Sources have told 60 Minutes that the guard who found Epstein cut him down before trying to revive him. It doesn't look like anybody ever took scissors to it, Alfonsi said, so there is some question. Is that the right noose? Federal prosecutors have charged the 2 guards who were on duty on the overnight shift the morning Epstein was found. Michael Thomas, who alone found Epstein's body, and Tova Noel face charges of making false records, conspiring to make false records, and conspiring to defraud the United States. Both have pleaded not guilty. All right, look, if these 2 people are held responsible, then their boss needs to be held responsible. His boss needs, or her boss needs to be held responsible, etc., all the way up the food chain. We can't just blame these 2 people, right? They were definitely negligent, and they definitely should be fired, and they probably should get some sort of misdemeanor charges for, whatever the law says, right? But to try and make them the scapegoats, and, man, I don't know. It almost seems like they're using these 2 guards, the case against these 2 guards, so they don't have to answer questions, so they can say they have an ongoing investigation. And it definitely seems like that's the case, and they touch on that a little bit in the 60 Minutes episode. Because of the ongoing criminal investigation into the guards and other open investigations into Epstein's death, neither the Justice Department nor the FBI would comment to 60 Minutes. We have examined so many photos, looked at the evidence, and talked to so many people, Alfonsi said, but we still have many questions, and we're looking forward to getting more answers. Us too. We have a lot of questions as well. So there you go, folks. That is 60 Minutes. Okay? 60 Minutes saying that they still have questions. So if you're a conspiracy theorist, according to the mainstream media, then I guess everybody at 60 Minutes is as well. All right, the next article is about the Golden Globe Awards tonight, and Ricky Gervais, or however you say his name, tears into Hollywood elite, Disney, Amazon, and Apple. The biggest stars in TV and film gathered in Beverly Hills, California in the hopes of kicking off the 2020 award season with a highly coveted Golden Globe Award, as the notoriously controversial host Ricky Gervais wasted no time laying into Hollywood elite vying for a big win. Stars from films like Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, Rocket Man, and The Irishman, as well as shows like Big Little Lies, The Crown, and Barry, were in attendance, but the comedian and host was undeterred by the many famous faces staring back at him. And like I said, I don't know if you watched it, then you know that he just let loose on these guys. I'm not familiar with his work. I'm not really big into like stand-up comedians and stuff, but this guy made a fan out of me tonight. And if he ever comes back to Vegas or comes to Vegas, I might have to check him out, because somebody who doesn't give a hell the way he doesn't give a hell, well, I'm totally down with that. He let these people have it. He took the torch to them. He called out the many stars in the room for their relationship to large corporations like Apple, Amazon, and Disney. Apple roared into the TV game with The Morning Show, a superb drama about the importance of dignity and doing the right thing made by a company that runs sweatshops in China, he said. So you say you're woke, but the companies you work for, Apple, Amazon, Disney, if ISIS had a streaming service, you would be calling your agents. Oh my gosh. My Lord. Holy Toledo. Look at that. He is just, man, oh man. He then mocked the stars in attendance for their relation to the late sex offender, Jeffrey Epstein. He declared that Epstein didn't kill himself, prompting groans from the crowd. Oh, of course. Groans from the crowd. Shut up. I know he's your friend, but I don't care. This is what he's saying to the Hollywood elite, and they know it's true. Next up on his jokes list was Felicity Huffman, who recently completed a stint in prison for her role in the college admission scandal. You all look lovely all dolled up. You came here in your limos, I came here in a limo, and the license plate was made by Felicity Huffman. He said to the crowd who cringed. It's her daughter I feel sorry for. That must be the most embarrassing thing that ever happened to her. And her dad was in Wild Hogs, so... that movie was horrible. I don't know if you've seen it, but that movie is bad. He also took a shot at Leonardo DiCaprio for his film Once Upon a Time in Hollywood being 3 hours long. Leonardo DiCaprio attended the premiere, and by the end, his date was too old for him. He added, even Prince Andrew was like, come on, Leo, mate, you're nearly 50. So not only does he have the Epstein jokes in there, he throws in a little bit of the Prince Andrew as well to give everybody a nice little jab in the eye. He absolutely went completely scorched earth, folks. He also set his sights on director Martin Scorsese's comments about Marvel movies being like theme parks, joking that he doesn't understand why the director would be at a theme park. He's not big enough for any of the rides. Well, Scorsese is a small guy, so that's pretty funny as well. He concluded his scathing monologue by warning the celebrities not to make any political or woke statements when accepting their awards. You're in no position to lecture the public about anything, he declared. You know nothing about the real world. Most of you spent less time in school than Greta Thunberg. With that, the host quickly welcomed Jennifer Aniston and Reese Witherspoon to introduce the first one of the evening. Rami Youssef won Best Actor in a TV comedy for his series Rami, beating out fellow celebrities such as Michael Douglas, Bill Hader, Paul Rudd, and Ben Platt. Next, Russell Crowe brought home the award for Best Performance by an Actor in a Limited Series or Motion Picture made for television for The Loudest Voice, but was unable to attend due to wildfires threatening his home in Alaska. Alright, so and the rest of this article is just going into who won the awards. I'm not going to read all of that. We don't need to hear all of that stuff. You guys don't care about that. I don't care about that. But I thought it was hilarious to read to listen to the Ricky G go crazy on these guys. It was absolutely comedy gold to watch him do it. And the reactions in the crowd, folks, the reactions in the crowd were just perfect. Just so perfect to see the stunned faces on these so-called elites. See these people that love to hang out with Jeffrey Epstein, and Ricky G just put them all on blast. So funny. And the whole line about how, they had to fly there on their own because they can't use Epstein's airplane anymore was just an absolute stake in the heart. So if you get a chance, make sure you watch those clips. The transcripts that I just read are, obviously, they don't do it as much justice as hearing him deliver the jokes and watching the reactions. It's just perfect. Absolutely perfect. What a great way to end my evening. All right, everybody, if you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@protonmail.com. If you'd like to help support the podcast, you can click on the GoFundMe link inside of the description box. And also, if you guys haven't been following what's going on in Australia, it is absolutely horrible. So do yourselves a favor and jump on the internet and do some research and see what's going on over there if you have some time and you want to, maybe help some people out, some refuges for animals, and something like 500 million animals have perished in these wildfires. And, there's a lot of homes that are in jeopardy. It's pretty bad over there, folks. So I know that it's not really getting much coverage here in the States, so I wanted to bring it up again here on the podcast and, direct some of you folks over to check that stuff out and see what's going on over there. And if you live on the West Coast in America, you know that we deal with a lot of wildfires, but nothing in comparison to what's going on over there. So I just want to, the folks that are listening in from Australia, I just want you all to know we're thinking about you. You're in our thoughts, and I want you all to please stay safe and, please try and avoid all of that stuff. I'll talk to you guys all tomorrow.